So, Stranger Things Season 3, it is here, finally. Let's talk about everything that happened.
Everything. That means that we are talking about spoilers for Stranger Things Season 3. So if you haven't seen it, turn us off, turn Netflix on, watch it, and then come back.
I mean, you can binge it anyways, so just do that.
You know you're going to.
Quite some time has passed since Season 2. Eleven is living with Hopper, making out with Mike every day. Dustin just got back from summer camp. Lucas and Max are adorable. Billy is working at the community pool, where local moms gawk at him.
But also, Russians have infiltrated Hawkins, and the shiny new mall is really a front for their secret lab, where they're trying to open a door to the Upside Down, for reasons that aren't super clear. But as the door gets wider, it empowers like a chunk of the Mind Flayer that was trapped in Hawkins when Eleven shut the door in Season 2, and the Mind Flayer is possessing victims all over Hawkins, starting with Billy.
So pretty much that's it. Joyce and Hopper capture Russian, Steven, Robin, and Dustin and Erica discover the Russian's lab under the mall, and the rest of the gang investigates what the Mind Flayer is doing.
Also, Dustin has a girlfriend, and it's like the best.
And it's real. It's actually true.
Yeah,
that was actually a big surprise.
The biggest shock of Stranger Things Season 3 is that Susie is real.
I know, that really was. Everything else, I was like, I kind of have this locked down. And when they did that, I was like, what?
This is Susie. I copy.
Susie!
Dusty Bun?
Dave, what was your overall reaction to Stranger Things Season 3? Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed it. If I'm being honest, I didn't like it as much as the previous seasons, mainly for me because, and I know this is where we're gonna disagree.
Yeah, we're gonna have a talk.
Yeah, but mainly for me, it was a lot of the mystery. I really loved the mystery of the first season, especially because I had no idea where it was gonna go. Season 2 still maintained a lot of that, and for this season, pretty much by the third episode, I knew everything going on, so none of it was
Except for
really...
Susie. We established
Right, except for Susie. That was the mystery. But
the mystery is Dustin's girlfriend real?
But for the most part, I really liked I like the characters. I love the characters, and I like seeing them interact. I love the 80s nostalgia. But a lot of what I really loved about the show, too, was being like, oh my God, where's this gonna go? What's gonna happen? And that really wasn't there for me this season.
I disagree.
Ooh.
I have a couple of qualms with the season overall, but I loved this season of Stranger Things. And this was coming off of Season 2. I wasn't crazy. I mean, I reviewed Season 2, and I think at the time I was probably a little bit more positive, and then like in retrospect, it's kind of crystallized in my mind as this thing that I was overall negative on Season 2. Like I left Season 2 with overall a feeling of disappointment, and I thought that this season was totally a return to form, but at the same time also did a lot of stuff that felt totally new.
Since I know you love this season, as you said, what were some of your favorite things about it?
I really want to talk about the 80s as a setting because I feel like I should be sick of the 80s as a setting, and I'm totally not. I don't know what's wrong with me, or maybe everyone agrees, but like it's just super fun to be in like the summer of 1985 in small town Indiana.
I think it's just the fact that they do it so well in Stranger Things.
Yeah,
the
like,
nostalgia is just so true.
I wasn't alive in 1985, and this show makes me wish that I had been, like hanging out at the mall, going to see Back to the Future, like playing Dungeons and Dragons with your friends. It sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. So just thinking like, oh my God, that's when it was in theaters. And
Yeah, imagine going to the theater and and being
that.
like, Alex P. Keaton is in this weird movie where he wants to bang his mom, which is like the recurring joke. And I had to look up who Alex P. Keaton was, but that's like, I like the 80s.
Yeah, it's funny. Like for me too, I was born a couple years after this movie would take place, so I didn't get to experience 80s nostalgia either.
Yeah, I think we're the same age.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, but still, like just the mall itself as a setting, because I was a mall rat for a bit when I was in 8th grade, and just like seeing stores that no longer exist and
Do kids still do that? Like, do kids still hang out? Were we the last generation that like went and hung out at the mall? Because I definitely did that. Same age, like 14 years old. Is like, Mom, drive me to the mall.
Starcourt Mall is one of the finest shopping facilities in America and beyond. So come on down, and remember, Starcourt Mall has it all.
So even though I was harping about certain things that we'll get to I didn't like, one of the things I did like was some of the new characters. Specifically for me, Robin was the standout.
Robin is the best.
Yeah, Robin's amazing.
I love
everything
her.
about her. And Mrs. Driscoll. Mrs. Driscoll's so great.
But I thought the reveal around Robin was really good because it played with our expectations,
Yeah.
right? Like Steve got dumped by Nancy last season, and so you're expecting Steve to have this new love interest, and they introduced Robin, who's the perfect candidate, and it just goes like it subverted my expectations, and it showed me like where my biases kind
Yeah.
of lie. Like I just like took it for granted that these two characters would get together, and they had some chemistry, and they clearly like it was a deliberate kind of bait and switch because they had that scene where they were drugged being interrogated,
Yeah.
where she told him that she was obsessed with him, and then when that reveal happened, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, and also this is a more interesting story than just Steve
Yeah.
and Robin getting together. So
Something about it felt more natural to me too, because it's not like someone would be so, especially back then, you wouldn't be so open about that sort of thing
Right.
either. So the fact that like then when the reveal happened and she was just sitting in the bathroom so like distraught as she was saying,
Yeah.
it felt legitimate to me.
it felt realistic,
Yeah.
and I was glad that she and Steve by the end were friends.
Yeah, and they were still like great together. They were still a great tag team.
Yeah, Steve very
Yeah.
very open-minded for 1985. Steve, good
Yes.
job. I just like spending time in Hawkins with
Yeah.
like all of the existing characters. Like, yes, Robin is a great new character. Mrs. Driscoll was a lot of fun. I think we both enjoyed Mrs.
Yeah.
Driscoll.
No, honestly, Lucas's
Mer-
sister was a little too sassy pants for me.
Really?
A little
She's
too
just
much.
a little-
It was funny
a
at
little over
first.
the top.
Yeah, it was funny at first, but then they kind of played this card a little too much.
I don't know, when she's lecturing them about capitalism. Do you know what capitalism is? I was
Yeah.
like, no, please tell me. I liked Mayor Klein a lot.
Yeah.
Who is Carrie Elwes from
Yules. Is it Yules or Ellis?
Whatever.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Carrie from
Man.
Princess Bride. Did a great job. He was super slimy, great villain.
I don't know about that last name though. People with the last name Klein are not slimy. I'm just saying. This season takes place a little bit later than season 2. Like a decent chunk of time has passed at the very least. I think it was a year later. I think I remember the subtitle saying. But with that said, since it's been so long, the characters have sort of forgotten about the things that have happened in the past. Like, it
Or like
seems
they've moved on.
Right, they've
There's
moved on
been
with their lives,
progress,
and
yeah.
it seems like, especially the first few episodes, it's really humor heavy and humor focused, and that persists throughout the entire season. I feel like this season of Stranger Things was more humor heavy than the previous season.
This is something that you liked.
It's kind of a mix for me. So I
Yeah,
thought the
I-
humor played out really well, but it was almost to the point where it was like a little bit too much, and it was just constant, like hitting.
Interesting. I mean, I liked how funny it was. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I would say, like, if we could transition
Yes.
into things that we did not like, I'll go first. The transformation I felt of Hopper's character, whereas he was a very like tragic, kind of a reluctant anti-hero type, like especially in season 1, like he had his backstory with his daughter who had died, and he's just kind of a slug of a person.
Yeah.
And he like barely wants to do his job. And in this, like he puts on the Magnum PI shirt and just like starts beating up the mayor and is like yelling at people. And he just felt like more of like this gruff, like brash guy who's just like, a lot of the time is the comic relief, or is like a plot instrument to kind of move things along.
Yeah.
And I felt like they kind of forgot who Hopper is, who he is.
Because there's also the constant joke about how he gained weight too. So like with the Russians, where they were like, "Oh, he's like, what was it that they call him? Like not fat Santa Claus, but fat, like a fat Gumbo or something." So, but like into the more to the
Yeah,
point where he
but
just
that was-
became a comic relief.
Yeah, that was Hellboy weight, I think.
Was it like I was wondering because
Probably,
but for
I don't
Hellboy
know.
he had to gain muscle, I think. So I don't know.
CG can do a lot these
That's true.
days.
But yeah, he definitely. It felt like it was a different character at times than the
Yeah.
character we got to know.
I felt the
and
same
that
way
was
about
strange.
I felt the same way about Mike. Like Mike
Yeah.
spent, I think, half of his lines this season were just calling someone or something a piece of shit,
Yeah.
whether it was Hopper or a vending machine. It's like, you piece of shit, come on, you piece of shit. And I was like, when did Mike become such like kind of an unbearable jerk? Like he had his moments this season. But I
Yeah.
was like, this. I don't remember this character being so annoying.
Before he was just a cute kid, and maybe that's what changed. Is now he's an annoying teenager, and they wrote him that way.
I don't know if it was
Yeah.
deliberate though.
I don't know if it was either. I honestly, I didn't particularly like Nancy and Jonathan's storyline that much. But the whole like this stereotypical story of like, oh, the girl's at the office and everyone's just the evil male pigs to her, and then she's gonna break through and find that story. I was like, all right, I get it. I've seen this a million times.
Did you feel personally attacked, Dave?
I did. No, I don't know. I don't have a reason to feel personally attacked. But
No, you just felt it was cliched.
yeah, it was just cliche.
I get it.
That was it.
I agree, but for me, I liked the way that they kind of juxtaposed Nancy's struggles in this male-dominated world versus Jonathan's struggles as like a lower class, like a member of a lower class family, and how they kind of were going through similar things, but they
In a different way.
Yeah, and they found it hard to relate to each other, and they had that scene in the car where they both go, "Well, you don't get it.
Right.
You also don't get it." It's like, I don't know. It said a lot to me. It felt appropriate to the setting, the time, and the place. So.
Oh, you know what I just
enjoyed this
remembered, by the way?
What?
This is not a good thing. Steve won his first fight.
Yeah,
That was
Steve,
so cute.
Steve won a
Yeah.
fight, and it was against an
That
evil
was-
Russian. Good for him.
Yeah, I was about to say something about how that Jonathan's character felt really downplayed this season. Like he didn't have very much to do other
He
than
really
being
didn't
like,
have much to do.
Yeah.
He just kind of followed Nancy around.
Right, he was sort of just there. Nancy did a lot, but not Jonathan.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in what they did not do with his character.
Right. I mean,
But Steve won a fight.
yes, but Steve won a fight. But that's what it reminded me, because I was thinking like, oh yeah, Steve lost to Jonathan because he did so much. Like their arc was so strong in the first season.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least like Steve still has an arc. but
I was glad that they got back to the Steve and Dustin bromance. Like when
Yeah.
they see each other in the store.
they're always so good together.
Henderson!
I'm back. You got the job. You got the job. Yay! Oh.
So if I'm talking about the things that really I didn't like about this season compared to the previous seasons, though, for me, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that I didn't personally find this mystery as intriguing. Especially with season 1, you had no idea what was up.
Right.
And that's just, granted, it was the first season.
Yeah, it's the nature
Right.
of this is a wholly
So,
original thing.
I remember every time I finished an episode with season 1, I started watching at 10 p.m. and at 4 a.m. I was like, I really should go to bed.
I did the exact same thing
Yeah.
in season 1. It was like, oh, what's this new
Yeah,
show?
because
I'll
every
check it
time I
out.
was like,
Yeah.
I need to know what's happening.
Yeah, they were so good at keeping you
Right,
going.
and
episode to
that
episode.
season 1 is the best season, at least to me, period. But then season 2,
agree.
even then, all this stuff with the tunnels, I was really intrigued by when they were like finding the tunnels and all that, and then figuring out like, oh, the heat's what's gonna like get the thing out. Like all that to me was still really like a mystery that you were solving and unraveling with them. For this one, I felt like by the 3rd episode, it's like, okay, I get it. The Mind Flayer, he's putting his thing into all these people in a body snatcher way, and and the Russians are opening a gate. Like I get it.
See, I
I didn't feel like throughout the seasons or episodes, I was like that intrigued
you didn't feel like there
to
was
find
something
out.
stringing
right.
you along.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that because I was still pretty confused. I mean, I felt like the first, and this is like a criticism that I have, which is that
Yeah.
there's too many lingering questions. The first scene where Billy goes to the phone booth and then he somehow is in the upside down, and then
Yeah.
like other Billy comes up to him, and I yelled, I was like, they're doing body snatchers.
Yeah.
It's an invasion of the body snatchers thing. This is totally different. And then like
They never did anything with
the
it.
doppelganger thing is never brought up
Right.
again. And I've seen that episode 3 or 4 times since then.
Right.
And I think what they're doing is because Billy's saying, what do you want? What do you want? And he's saying like, I want what you see, which is the Mind Flayer is giving Billy a vision.
Got it. Right.
Where Billy is seeing himself leading an army of flayed,
Right.
possessed people.
Okay.
But that's a really confusing way to convey that.
Yeah, I did not pick
Because
up on that.
what the hell? Like, obviously, we're gonna see that. We're gonna think, oh my God, Billy's trapped in the Upside Down, and a doppelganger Mind Flayer Billy has taken his place. But that's not at all what was happening. And
Okay, so I said I figured out the mystery, but honestly, part of the time I just thought that it was like, oh, so there's gonna be the flayed evil Billy, but then they're gonna at some point, maybe there's the real Billy somewhere else because of that scene.
So if your complaint is less that you figured it out, more that it was confusing, I agree with you.
What was the other things that I thought I figured out? I guess
Yeah.
that was the one thing that was confusing to me.
I mean, there
Yeah.
was the whole thing with the Russians, and there never was really a question of what the Russians were doing,
No,
right?
no.
From the opening scene, it was they're trying to open a door to the Upside Down, and I appreciate that as a framing device. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in that Steve and Robin and Dustin and Erica and Hopper and Joyce, all these different characters are investigating the Russians, trying to get to the bottom of why are they Russians and Hawkins, and the
Yeah.
whole time we already know the answer. So
Yeah,
I think you're right to a degree.
I almost think they just should have cut out that first opening scene of them in Russia doing it, And then that way it would have been like more of a mystery for that end.
Yeah,
But-
and then they
yeah.
could have had Alexei even, or Smirnov if you prefer. They could have had him, explain that kind of in exposition or in
Right.
flashback, like we tried in Russia. He kind of did, right? He was
Yeah,
saying,
he did say that.
He
He
was
did
saying
do
we
the
had
explanation.
the key, but
Yeah.
the location of the door was also important.
So
they-
that way you'd be discovering like, oh, there's Russians. That's weird.
Yeah.
What are they doing? So that was one thing. Another one of my complaints was that at times it felt very campy 80s B movie, which I think is on purpose because they're referencing that sort of thing.
Yeah, see, I just love that.
And
the hospital scene.
Right, the hospital
Yeah.
scene specifically. And I get that, like, it made me think of Halloween 2. And, like, I get it. I know that's what they were doing, but it's not my favorite kind of horror. So for me, I was just like, yeah, I get it. It's just not my favorite thing.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I liked that.
So yeah, like I'm saying, like for me that was a complaint, but I completely understand that other people will probably like that sort of thing. I get it. So
Can we put his Twitter up on the screen again so people can?
yeah, send all the hate
Yell at him.
in the comments below. All right.
Hi there.
So that's our thoughts on season
Yeah.
3. Let's get into a little bit of like season 4 stuff, which they haven't announced, but
God, like
obviously it's happening.
it's hard to imagine the season 4 at this point.
You think so?
Yeah, because the buyers are gone.
Yeah.
They moved elsewhere. Elle is gone.
Well,
She's
so
moved
that's
elsewhere.
one of my questions is,
Right.
is what purpose do you think that plot point served? Like, why did they have them move away at the end? I understand why they would want to.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, in a meta sense, like, what purpose does that serve besides just separating them so that
Yeah.
they can later come back together?
I guess I honestly felt like Hopper's dead. I think he's definitely
You
dead.
think he's
I
dead?
think he's dead. Do you not think he's dead?
Do you want to get into that question first?
Yeah, let's get into that.
because
That's
no, I don't
interesting.
think
You don't think he's
Hopper is
dead?
dead? Give me a fucking break.
It's evaporated. You saw the dudes in the suits just go.
So who was that in the Russian cell at the end when they said not the American?
Maybe was that after
You
the
missed
credits?
the credit scene.
Oh, there's a post-credit
Dave missed the
scene?
credit scene.
I didn't know there was a post-credit scene.
Yeah, dog. Okay, so let me tell you about the post-credit
Tell me about
scene.
the post-credit scene that I didn't know
so
about.
Stranger Things Season 3 has a post-credit scene. The credits start rolling, and it's a black screen, and then this snow starts falling, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? And then it just goes into another scene. It's like a credits
Oh.
fake out. Okay, so they're back in Russia.
I'm qualified to do this review.
Sure. They're back in Russia, and there's
Yeah.
there's like some Russian soldiers, and they're passing these jail cells, and they go to one door, and the guy goes, no, not the American. And then they go to the next door, and they pull out some random, Russian guy, and they toss him into a cage, and this thing opens, and out comes a fucking Demogorgon.
Oh,
The fucking monster from season 1.
I know. I just missed that. I missed that scene.
Okay, so do you think Hopper is still alive?
No.
Oh my God.
I mean, like that does make it seem like he is.
I mean,
it's
it
just
could-
I don't know how he could have survived that. How do you survive that?
My theory is that he popped through the doorway.
Oh, like to break on through to the other
Yeah,
side.
he did.
That's a Doors. It's
a
Doors
Doors.
of '70s, so that would be work. They would listen to.
I
the
mean,
Doors.
Hopper would be listening to the
Yeah.
Doors in 1985. The kids wouldn't. Anyway, yeah, I mean, they had the big lightning on the machine that he,
Yeah.
he couldn't go that way, and then there's a very deliberate shot where
I mean,
he
you
looks
know-
behind him at the
Yeah.
door. So I was like,
There is a good point with that where they show the other things evaporating, but they don't show
right,
Hopper
they
evaporate.
do not show his body. So I think that he turned around, leapt through the gateway as it was closing, and then
Yeah.
the Russians, who clearly have opened other doors somehow because they have a Demogorgon, found him in there as well, put him in a cell. That's what
Yeah.
season 4 is going to be
I
about.
just thought, like, oh my god, they actually did. They killed a major character.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the
Yeah.
credit scene, you could definitely think that.
So, if you noticed, though,
I love this.
Season 1, the person who died was it Bonnie? What's her name?
Barb.
Barb.
Do you seriously
Justice
just
for Barb.
forget Barb's name? You don't get to say Justice for Barb if you forgot Barb's name.
I was trying to remember.
Shame
by
on
using Justice
you.
for Barb. So Barb died.
Put his Twitter handle here.
Barb died in season 1. Bob died in season 2, and now season 3 is Billy. All bees.
Oh man, that's funny. When they were
The trilogy of the bees.
at the start, when they were introducing the new characters, I was like, I hope none of these fools' names start with the letter B.
We're going to find our Barb.
What do you think the point of Dr. Owens returning was?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched season 2 once when it came out.
Right.
And he, comes out of that helicopter in the mall parking lot or whatever. I was like, who's that guy?
Yeah, I know.
I barely remembered who he was.
Like, I vaguely recognized him. I was like, I know that was a character.
Right, but then I don't think he has a line. He's like, they arrived just in time to do nothing because the problem's already solved. So I have no idea. I assume he'll be more important once again in season 4, or else, like, literally, why have him come back?
Yeah, it's got to be something like that. Or it was just here's the brigade, and it's just a character you recognize, oh, they're here, they're too late again, obviously, but...
what do you think the Mind Flayer's, like, ultimate goal was?
Oh, I mean, it seemed like, so to me, by the way they were talking about, the Mind Flayer, he was like, Elle, you opened up the door for us, and we want to finish and be able to live up there. So I think they don't want to live in the Upside Down anymore. They want to live on Earth and just kill everybody and take over, like, normal Earth, but just live there.
Yeah.
That was what I took it to be, is they don't want to live in the Upside Down. They want to live on the right side up.
So he gets all these residents of Hawken to, like, consume all these chemicals so that their bodies pop.
Yeah.
And then he just becomes everyone, or
and
he
then,
just wants to get bigger and bigger and bigger and just consume everything?
Yeah, then he was, like, trying to kill Elle because Elle was the only one that he thought could stop her. And so that was it. And then, then just become bigger and bigger and bigger and take over. And
I guess that's it. I don't know. I've been trying to figure out if there was, like, something more complex going on there.
I don't think so. I think he just wanted to live in the right side up. I think
cool.
That's all
I mean, who wouldn't?
I know. It's pretty.
It's fine.
Dope. Especially during 1985.
Yeah, man.
That's the perfect time.
Yeah, let's all go back to 1985 and live in the right side up.
Well, that sure was a strange season of Stranger Things. You're welcome. We're wrapping this up. Mike, so overall you loved it, right?
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved this season.
Yeah.
Not quite as much. Season 1 is up here. Season 2 is down here. Season 3 is like...
I go season 1, season 2, season 3.
It's a great visual that we're providing.
Oh, and I think it was off camera too when I put season 1, but
that's how good it is.
It's
that
that
up
good.
here.
Season 1 is just so good.
I agree.
But I still enjoyed it. I did like this season. I thought it was fun. I just didn't like it as much as the previous seasons.
Well, now we're looking forward to season 4.
Oh, yeah, that I had no idea existed until literally this moment. Or, I mean, was hinted at. Use the Easter egg.
Thanks for watching.
See you next time. Make sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe. Check us out on Twitter and all that. I'm at the Dave Klein, and this is at Rogue Cheddar.